Hello, this is Nima Gobabai on KUCI 88.9 Irvine. This is, of course, Cinéshow, which I do every Wednesdays from 4 to 5 p.m. Today we've got a guest, which is great, and he's a KUCI radio show host as well. And I think he's using the bathroom. He'll be right in. Oh, there he is. All right.
You gonna turn the light up or no? Can I turn the light up or no?
Sure, if you want to. He's just walking in now. So today we're going to be talking about RoboCop, which I haven't seen in about 3 years. So it's been a bit of time, but it feels like yesterday.
Well, you watched yesterday, didn't you?
Now
I'm on. Hello, everybody. I'm
go.
Ari. I'm the host of Bass Tunes on the station, KCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, at 4 to 5 on Fridays. I'm also the marketing and promotions director, so if you see me on the social media platforms, that's me, you know? So thank you again, Nima, for having me on and talking about RoboCop.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you some interview-style questions for the first 5 minutes, okay? So, how long have you liked this movie? How did you hear about it? And etc.
I can pull up some stuff. I'm not certain, but it's only within like the last month or so. But let me check real quick and see. Let me scroll through my mentions and all that. I'm just looking through my photos because it's got to have been around Christmas time of 2023. So it's only been maybe a month or maybe 2 months. And the way I got into it was in late 2023, a developer put out a new RoboCop game called RoboCop Rogue City. It's a first-person shooter, and you play as RoboCop, and it's apparently set in between the second and third film. So some of the plot points and elements of the game I didn't really know about because they weren't shown in the first movie, but I also watched the 2 sequels, and that was expounded upon. But I don't know. I just heard the movie was good, and I just kind of wanted to watch it. That developer also made a Rambo game and a Terminator game recently. The Rambo game was not good, apparently, but the Terminator was good. They're like a pretty low-budget studio, but I wanted to play the game because it was, I guess, one of the first big new games using Unreal Engine 5 with all, like, the cool lighting tricks like lumen and nanite and, like, shadows and things like that. So that was the reason... That was the reason that I wanted to use that one. So, I mean, that's how I got into it. And then I sort of pestered my girlfriend into watching it with me. And she fell asleep during it, so she couldn't get to see it. But she got a glimpse of it, and, you know, I filled her in on the rest, and I incessantly pestered her about it. So, you know, that's how it usually goes with me.
All right, yeah. So you mentioned, like, Terminator and Rambo, but Terminator in particular, have you seen Terminator 1?
No, I plan to now. I want to watch
Okay.
Terminator and T2.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should watch T2. I don't know if I have to watch the first Terminator, because it's funny because I feel like T2 is a lot more of an iconic sequel compared to the first movie in terms of like box office and like effects and things like that, but it sort of takes doesn't it take like a more action-y tone, a little bit less like dark compared to the first movie, and the Terminator is the good guy now?
Yeah, so basically, I would say Terminator 1 has a lot in common with the first RoboCop minus the comedy and the satire.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Terminator 1 is an action horror film, while Terminator 2 is just like a pure amazing action film. So it is like more action oriented, but the first Terminator movie, I can tell, did inspire RoboCop a lot, especially, I would say, like, the ending, it kind of struck me as, and when you watch Terminator 1, you'll kind of see there are some, like, parts that are from there, but it's, like, different in a lot of ways, which we'll get into, but I definitely recommend you watch Terminator 1. I think you'll like it a lot. And I would assume you would like Terminator 1 a bit better than Terminator 2, if I had to guess. But they're both amazing.
You might be wrong on that. I kind of like the dumb action-y stuff more than the horror, but I mean, you might be right on that. I just have to watch both and, you know, get an idea to see. I think is it. Let me look this up to make sure. I thought that the Terminator, the first one, was with the same production studio, Orion Pictures. I might be wrong here. Let me take a look. O.J. Simpson, what's he doing in there? Is he in that movie? Shout out to O.J. I guess.
Pictures. And Terminator 2...
Yes, it's distributed by Orion Pictures.
I know you meant colloquially, but it's not dumb action. I assure you, it's like a really good story and all that. It's just
sure it's
more action.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But like the style of Terminator 1 is, you know, it's got that like, kind of like stop motion-y, like more like retro feel. And I know you like and the music in Terminator 1 has a lot of like kind of video gamey 64-bit sounding music that's really cool.
16 or 32 is probably more likely.
Whatever it is. Whatever it is.
64-bit was when they were using CDs so they could have huge PCM audio. 16 was with the synthesizer. Get it right.
He's showing me up.
I'm showing you up right now, on air right now.
32, 16, 64.
64 bits. 32 bits.
Oh, that's a good...
The Risk Game! Anyways, I did maybe end episode already. Yeah, okay, what's your next question?
Well, let's just get talking about the movie, and I'll pull up the IMDb page. Do you want to, like, you intro, like, what's so good about this movie?
First off, it's a robot with a gun, okay? That was the first thing. It's just fun action with heart and drama, and that's what I find really good about it. There's the heart of the fact that, of course, it's the human. What's the plot of the movie? Let me just quickly summarize it, basically. So there's a cop, right? There's a company who bought and contracted to work with the police department and control the police department. OCP, Omni Consumer Products. It's like a sort of near future, I think. It's like 80s, but like they got like robots and stuff. So basically how it works is this. He starts off as a cop. There's this drug crime lord, Clarence Bonninger, and he's got this gang, and you know they're gonna stop him. But first, they're debuting this new city, Delta City, which is like this beautiful, super futuristic, controlled environment, like I don't know, Celebration or whatever, that Disney town in Florida, like a little more futuristic and more dystopian. But the whole thing is they're gonna build it on top of old Detroit, where it's like, I don't know, slums and crime and homeless people, because like, you know, it's like a poor economic area. It kind of predicted Detroit's downfall. But they debut this new, they need a 24/7 cop, and there's this executive called Dick Jones, and he's like, okay, I have this idea, Richard. I have this idea. I have this new robot cop. It's called Ed 209. It's a fully autonomous, no cyborg, whatever, and it's the enforcement thing. And it's just like this mech with two turrets on the side of it. It's insane. So they do a demo, right? And so they get like an executive like, hey, like point your weapon at it so it'll like go into crime stopping mode. So then it's like, you have 30 seconds to comply. And he drops the gun and it doesn't work. And they foreshadowed it earlier saying that the Ed 209 thing was glitched. So so you think it's going to be like a sort of, you know, like a drama thriller, like a normal cop movie maybe, until the Ed 209 just starts firing. And there's so many squibs and so much gore. This dude is getting pulverized. And when I watched that, I sat up because I didn't really know anything about the movie. I was like, wait, what is this? This is insane. I was like giggling at it. I was like, this is crazy. This is insane. I haven't seen a movie this violent in a long time.
So you thought his death was funny too?
It was obviously meant to be funny.
Yeah, okay. So that's what I would say too.
Ed 209 was meant to be comedic relief. Yeah. Because it can't go down the stairs. It's stupid. It's a dumb robot.
It's like, it reminds me of like a dog or something.
It is like a dog, basically. If you've seen the third movie, it even acts like a dog, but don't watch the third movie. It's bad. It's interesting, but it's bad. I'll get into that. But, yeah. So, basically what happens is this. There's another program, and there's another guy competing with him. This Richard guy. And the guy's, I forgot the guy's name, but he has an idea for a cyborg, right? Where they're going to meld human and machine together. So, what they ended up doing was transferring a bunch of police into this dangerous area. I think it was Metro West. I think it was Metro West in Detroit.
His name's Bob, just to help you out.
It's Bob, right. Thank you. I watched it last night. I just don't remember the name. It was Bob. So they transferred a bunch of police officers, and one of the police officers, it turns out, is the cop that we follow, Alex Murphy. He has his partner, Ann Lewis, who is cool. She's just action girl. She's cool. She's just nice. It's kind of funny. The director actually asked her to cut her hair so she wouldn't be too, I guess, attractive. I don't know. Like they didn't want to like lean too much into that, which is funny because I think the director Paul Verhoeven is known for one having very violent movies, but two very like very nude heavy movies. I think he did Showgirls after this, which people don't like, but there was also I was surprised at the fact that like there's like as Murphy's walking through or something some reason I don't know, in the beginning of the movie there's a bunch of naked cops showering, just straight up there, and I was like, oh this is that's the one time like you would think like if that's there's going to be a lot of that, but there's not. I thought that was cool, you know, just a co-ed shower, which I don't think I've ever seen in the history of mankind, but hey. But yeah, basically. Murphy and Lewis go to kill or like capture the drug guys, Clarence Bonniger and his gang, and they catch him. So then he there's another gory scene, but this one is entirely different. With Ed 209, we're laughing at it because it's comedic and it's funny and over the top. This one is just hard to watch because they like blow off his hand and they just go pow pow pow, and then he gets shot in the hand and his body drops and it's just straight glazed eyes, and you're like, oh, this is hard.
Right. Look at so.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, no, don't be sorry. I just let's like pause the plot there and we like talk about that scene because it's important. Like,
yes.
It is a big contrast with like the action comedy of the first death.
Yeah, the Ed 209 scene.
But like, it is honestly like really dark when he's being like blown to pieces. Like the music is really unsettling, and there's like. I think his parts of his life are like flashing in his brain.
Oh,
and stuff.
that part was. Oh yeah, I remember there wasn't really like that much music when he originally was getting blown, but like as it went on, I think the music kicked in, and then like flashes memories of like his child and. Are you talking about that, or are you talking about when he gets put into when the doctors take him in, his memories start flashing?
Both. I know he does. I know it's that part. I don't know if it's also when he's blowing up, but I know like the music is weird, and then the fact that like his partner's watching kind of, and she's helpless.
Yeah, she tries to find the guy. She like arrests one of the guys, and he's like, "I'm gonna pull my zipper up," and she looks down.
Right.
And then just pow, flies her off.
Yeah.
That guy was funny. He had that really high pitched laugh. It was weird.
Yeah, he
was good. I feel like the crew was pretty. I like the villain's crew. Mm-hmm. Aside from,
they were good.
I forgot the name. It was the Asian guy. I think he didn't have much screen time, but like
he did.
It was I forgot his name. Anyways, it was some weird like Eastern European Russian name, and then like the black guy, and then Clarence and the other
I think it's. Oh, is it the one with like the balding head?
Yes.
Oh, his name's Emil.
Emil, yes. Okay.
And then there was Leon, who's like the Italian or whatever.
Oh yeah, Leon. Leon's not that important. I don't remember Leon that
well.
Yeah. Yeah. So that scene was just super dark. Like I couldn't even imagine. Like the fact that they could have a scene with that much violence and it still does that is like wow. But
I would say too, just quick the action's like really good too. And
yes, it's
like,
great.
The sound's really nice. Like I like it's really over the top. Kind of reminds me of like Kill Bill and stuff like that. Like
yeah, I saw that movie before that.
Crazy
I could see
gore.
That. Yeah, so much. I thought the weapons didn't. It all sounded kind of cheap in terms of it. Always like even like the footsteps and things like that on rewatch. It felt like those were added in over like dubbed over in terms of stuff like sound effects and footsteps. But it was like, it's an 80s movie. What do you expect? It sounds like an 80s movie. It looks and feels like an older movie. And that's fine, because it's from the 80s.
Right. It does have like a retro charm. Everything about it's very like retro and kind of...
it was pretty low budget, too, for its time.
Yeah, but it like works well with
it
the
works
environment.
Well. It feels like a B+ movie, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does have like B movie elements, like the one-liners, but those are like almost they're meant to be ridiculous. Like the "I'll buy that for $1" guy on the TV, he's just like a joke.
Yeah,
and all the people on TV are like hilarious. Like they just like there was one scene where the news anchor like says like, yeah, a space laser went off and killed 100 people in San Francisco, and then he cut to like some mundane story in Detroit. It was like really dumb, like, you know.
This that's the other thing I forgot to mention. This is that it basically the first real element of story in the movie isn't anything with regards to actually what's going on. It shows the title, which I thought it would go straight to the commercial. I don't remember, but then it just static, bam, commercial. like bam, goes to a news break.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, what? This is how the movie's going to start? So the thing that I remember was that the transitions into the news break segments, because there are 3 of those in the movie. There are 3 sections of the movie that are like TV. Now, normally in a movie, right, what you would do is have somebody sitting and watching the TV. It moves, it pans into the TV, and then shows what it's going, and then just TV gets blown up to the full screen, what's on the TV. This time, straight cut, nothing, right? And the director intentionally did that to make it as abrupt and jarring as possible, to make it very, like, take you out of the movie, these media break segments. So I thought that was really cool. And the best part about it is not the fact that it's, like, funny or whatever, it's that it actually, especially that first one, it does give you some good world building, both direct and indirect. Direct as in they're explaining OCP, we're in Detroit, although there's a title card that says Detroit after, which is kind of funny, that OCP owns the place, the Clarence Bottinger guy, but then the commercial with the heart doctor, it sort of, in the background, kind of teaches you a bit more about the world and the satirical elements, and like, you know, oh, we're selling these hearts, and it's like, oh, it's tax deductible or whatever. It's like, oh, but we care.
Yeah, that was good.
It's the weird mix of like corporate, it's just corporate bull, because that was kind of the whole element of the satire, because I think one of the writers, it might have been Edward Neumeier, it was written by Edward Neumeier and Michael Miner. Neumeier was an executive for Universal at the time, before he quit his job to finish up this RoboCop script. So he based a lot of that off of the, he based a lot of it off of that, his experiences in that sort of corporate environment. So it was, I don't know if it was accurate, because, you know, I'm 20, I've never been in a corporate boardroom. I'm never going to be in a corporate boardroom. Maybe I will, but hey, you never know. But I don't intend to anytime soon. You know. But yeah.
Let's continue with like the plot with the transformation into the cop.
Yeah. Okay. So this was the part that really sold me on the movie, and the little kid in me, the little nerd in me, started like, oh, this is awesome, because, you know, it's dark, and like the scene where Murphy gets picked up and put into the hospital, and it's like they're like putting tubes in him, and they're trying to like resuscitate him or whatever, and it's not working, and it cuts to his like lifeless face, and it's just showing his like memories of like the kid spinning, you know, his kid watching that TV show of the guy spinning the weapon, and he's like, can you do that, Dad? And then his wife is like, I need to tell you something, and then he's dead, right? He's like, oh, I think we lost him. Cut it. And then it fades out. And then, pew, static. And then RoboCop turns on. And it's in RoboCop's head. And it's like static and like grids and pixels. And they drill like the grid lock targeting system onto his visor or whatever. And he like, they screw it on. You can see it. And I'm like, whoa, this is awesome. He's becoming RoboCop. And I like that part too, because it would like, you know, cut out because they messed up something or they need to shut him down. I like how Bob is like, lose the arm. I thought we were going to lose the arm. But he's like, we were able to save his arm because, of course, if you remember, one of his hands got blown off, but not the other one. The other one was probably fine. He's like, no, lose the arm. Shut him down. He wakes up later. Shut him down. And then it's like New Year's. And like, they're like all like drunk and celebrating New Year's. And then it's funny because you realize it's a way to sort of tell the listener, like, or the viewer, how much time has passed. Because I think in the beginning they're saying Delta City is going to be 6 months, and then next they say Delta City begins construction in 2 months. So it took about 3 to 4 months for RoboCop to be made. So that much time has passed, but you don't really notice that unless you're paying attention.
Yeah, so the hospital part when he's on the table is like really, really good. Like the way they do it is so horrifying. They're like putting tubes into him, and his like eyes are like wide open, and this noise is kind of weird, and all this stuff in the flashbacks and whatnot. But then like that part where Bob is like take off his arm is like even kind of more dark, because now, and this is the whole like psychological part of the movie, it's like how immoral what is happening is with RoboCop. Like he's a person that's been turned into a product, and he's being like cut up.
Yeah, I remember they literally said like, oh, he signed the release forms when he signed up for the Force. Like, we can do whatever we want with him. He's our property. And he's like, what do you think? Lose the arm? Lose the arm. Okay, shut him down. Pew. I don't know. The sound effects are also really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, Then RoboCop comes on, and it's like you can kind of see him, but you kind of can't. Like they're kind of trying to hide it from the viewer as well. Sort of follow like the police force being like, "Wait, what's going on? Who is this guy?" And it's RoboCop. It's a hulking walking machine. And the first time Lewis sees him, I think, is when he's at the firing range, and he's just blasting the targets. You know, he's really good. I don't know.
And she sees him do the gun spin thing, right?
Yeah, she sees him, and then she's like,
that part kind of gave me chills because he told her about it earlier on their mission when he was like alive.
When he was still Murphy.
Well,
he was still Murphy.
Yeah, but he told her about that before he died, quote unquote, and then she sees him do it as a robot, which is the first, like, it's foreshadowing, like, he's still the same person.
He's
like,
still Murphy.
He has memories. And then that's expanded upon further in the plot, but after that, they give like a few different scenes where he stops crime, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, one thing I'll say, RoboCop is not that good of a cop. I'm not like that pro-police, but man, I feel like there's a better way to be a cop than to just go in and blast everybody. You don't see him doing public service. You don't see him like trying to talk things out. No, he goes in there and just starts blasting at people. I think the first scene was him getting in the car, and that's when you first hear the RoboCop theme, and it's great. You know, that one.
Yeah.
But, you know, he goes into, I think, City Hall, and the mayor or former mayor, he lost the election or something like that, so he's holding a bunch of people hostage, including the mayor-elect, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that scene was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Because, one, RoboCop's like, keep him talking, and then he goes in, right? And he's going to blast him. But it's like cuts between him going up the stairs and like you see him using like thermograph technology, so you're learning more about what he can do and his like his power. Wait, that wasn't the first scene he did, but I'm gonna talk about this one. Then I'll go back to the first scene.
Yeah, it doesn't matter the order.
Yeah, the first scene was with the convenience store, but I'll get back to that. So let me think. Yeah, and he's like, oh, so okay, what do you want? He's like, I want my own job, and like the guy's holding them hostage. He's like, I want my old job back, and I want this, and I want a car that goes really fast and gets really crummy gas mileage. And I thought that was really funny. He's like, who wants a car with really bad gas mileage? But I guess it was the 80s, and you know, it was before like
real men
drive cars that get 2 miles to the gallon. Yes, sir. Funny enough, the third commercial break, actually one of them is a commercial for that same car, and it shows that it's like 8.2 miles per gallon. I'm like, that's horrible. Like the worst car that my family's had in terms of miles per gallon, I think my dad's old SUV, that got 17 miles per gallon. That's like not great. But
I have a Bugatti that runs on firewood.
Wow. Is that a joke?
No, it's for real. You put firewood in the hood. It emits as much as a jumbo jet to Hawaii every 1 mile. It's great.
That's how a real man does it. Anyways. So yeah, I love that scene mostly because, you know, Murphy goes in, he does that, and you know, the hostage's like, oh, you're yanking my chain too much, I'm gonna do this. So you know what RoboCop does? You see it from the guy's perspective. One hand through the wall, other hand through the wall, through the plaster and drywall, just grabs him and drags him out. And I was like, this is so cool. That was the thing on my first viewing. I'm like, this is so cool the entire time. It wasn't even about the humanity part. It took me longer to really like sit down and think about that and be like, wow, this is cool. Like I you know, I knew it when I was watching, but as I was continuing to digest the world and all that, I really grew to love that part more. But the first impression I had was, this is awesome. You know, he grabs him and he throws him out the window. Crime saved. And then it cuts immediately from that same camera perspective to the newscast of them. There you go, straight into the second commercial break. And then I also like that scene right after where, you know, they're like interviewing, he's like with some kindergartners or whatever, and he's like, RoboCop, do you have any message to say to the kids? And RoboCop basically hasn't been talking at all, really. Like, you know, he's very silent. He's not really like listening to people and having conversations. He's like, looks in the camera, just like, stay out of trouble. Like, what kind of message is that to the kids? Like, that's not a very positive message. Like, it's a message to the kids. But, you know, it's like, hey, you know, stay in school, do good, you know, be a good citizen. No, stay out of trouble. Like, I'm the law. I'm gonna, you know, if a kid's messing up, I'm just gonna go, bah, 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 with this, like, burst pistol, like, which is actually a, I think it was a Beretta 93R.
Yeah, I really like his gun. Super
yeah,
cool.
I think it was literally just like a Beretta that they just, like, outfitted with, like, you know, props and whatever. But the first scene that RoboCop is like RoboCop, I think, was in the convenience store where this one guy was robbing a convenience store. This one was awesome because, you know, the guy's holding him, RoboCop comes in, and the guy who's robbing is like, what is this? And he's like, that might be the third. No, I think the first scene was the convenience store. The second one was like that girl getting assaulted.
Yeah, that one's a bit. I don't know if we can talk about that one.
We can talk about that one.
That one's more dark, and
that one's dark, but it's like kind of funny at the same time, as is most of this movie. I'll discuss it. I'll keep it. Don't worry. But yeah, with the convenience store one, you know, he goes in, he's in the convenience store, and then he grabs the guy and just throws him into a fridge. And then he just gets up and he's like, and the RoboCop's like, thank you for your cooperation. Good night. And he just walks away. So instead of like arresting the guy, and that's the first time you see that his armor is like deflects bullets, because the guy shoots him and nothing, you know, bow, you know, bounces off him, so he's fine. But the other scene was basically like these two guys are like grabbing a girl, gonna rob her, but they're like, oh, we want you. So, you know, they're gonna do some stuff. They cut her hair and they're like, I wonder if there's more hair down there. You know, it's like, oh, what's gonna happen? RoboCop shows up. So, you know, RoboCop, like, oh, they know it's RoboCop, so they hold the girl hostage. So you know what he does? Targeting system, shoots him in the groin. Bow! And he's just like, and then the other guy's, he's like, your move, creep.
Oh, that was good, yeah.
And the line that he says to the woman's like the woman's like, it's funny because you can see like the robot part of him. Like she comes like, oh, thank you so much, and hugs him. He's like, ma'am, you have been through a traumatic incident. I will notify a beep crisis center.
Yeah.
And then she's like, what? Like, I was like, that's so funny. Like, that is the wrong thing to say to a woman or anybody in that situation.
I like that he's so like matter of fact. It really sells it. Like it's like he just does exactly what the book says. He does everything by his programming, and then that makes it sort of better when we start to go on and he starts to become more human.
Yeah, and you can even tell as the movie goes on, the way he speaks becomes less robot and more human, and I found that really interesting. But yeah, I mean, I guess I'll just sort of breeze over. I mean, the plot is pretty simple, right? What happens? I think he's getting flashes of... I'm just gonna pull the plot. I don't know how I don't remember this. I just want to make sure...
No, sometimes it's hard to like go... You do a way better job than I do. I can't like go over the plot in order.
I can. In order, it's really tough, because I don't remember exactly what happens next. But let's see here. Here's what happens. Okay. Oh, I remember now. So RoboCop is sleeping, and when he sleeps in his chair, so he starts like twitching and convulsing, right?
Yeah, that's it.
And all the scientists or whatever working on him are just like lazing off, like drinking soda or whatever, and just like reading the newspaper. And there's a TV with a camera, with a security camera for RoboCop, and there's one that's just static. This one I think is what he's seeing. So it cuts static, and it's Clarence, like a weird like dream hallucination of Clarence like holding the gun at him. So we cut to RoboCop, and he starts freaking out. He's dreaming about Murphy, like he's dreaming about when he was killed by Clarence, and it keeps playing, and he's just like freaking out. And then and they're like, "What's going on?" He's like, "He's dreaming." They're like, "We don't know what's going on." Like the EM spectrum, I don't know, some brain activities like writing is like going off the charts, and he just gets up. He's like, I have to go now. He like gets up, and they're like, "Oh, call Bob," and Bob's like, "You did this all over a dream?" So he's walking away and ignoring everybody. He's like, and he goes to Lewis, right? And Lewis runs up. He's like, "Oh, I haven't thought I'd introduce myself. I'm Lewis. So what's your name?" And he's like, Is there anything I can help you with, Officer Lewis? And she's like, "No." And she looks at him. He's like, "Murphy, it's you," because she knows it's Murphy now, with the way he speaks and the way he looks and the gun flick thing. So he's like, "I have to go now. There is a crime occurring somewhere, probably. I don't remember. I don't think it says that. Probably something more poetic than that." But he walks away. So the next scene is him going to this gas station. So one of the guys, Emil, one of the guys from the Clarence Bodinger gang, he is robbing a gas station. And I thought it was funny, like this kid, this like nerd is just like reading a textbook on trigonometry or something like that. He's just like
geometry correction.
Okay,
I'm
thank
just
you.
kidding.
I almost thought, I was like, is it trig or geometry?
It's the one thing I remember about the plot. No, I'm just kidding.
One thing he remembers is the textbook title. Okay,
Yeah,
buddy.
that's
No,
it.
but yeah, it's a geometry textbook. I remember now. He's like, oh, you a college boy, huh? So he's like threatening him, and he's like, you know, he's like, oh, I'm gonna go blast him. And then RoboCop comes to arrest him, right? And grabs him. And he's walking towards Emil. And he's like, wait, I know you. We killed you. And you can see through his perspective, he's recording it. And he just stands there like a statue. And he's like, he doesn't say that, but he's like freaking out in his head. Because he keeps playing, I know you, we killed you.
Right, because he repeats something he said to the Emil character
Yeah, he
was Murphy.
Yes, he says, dead or alive, you're coming with me.
Right.
As Murphy and RoboCop. To the same guy. So he's like, wait, I remember you.
Yep.
So he freaks out and he just stops. So then he like blows one of the gas pump like wires or whatever. So you know there's leaking gas. So he's smoking a cigarette or whatever. He like flicks it. Boom! Gas station explodes. The college kid runs away in time, and RoboCop's walking through the fire, and it's awesome. And you know Emil gets on his motorcycle, and RoboCop drives him, and he like boom, 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 and he flies off his motorcycle and hits it. And it's funny because he grabs him. He's like, "Who are you? Who are you?" And then he just drops, and he's dead, right? Because of I guess severe blunt trauma to the head or something like that. Anyways, so then RoboCop goes back to the police station, and he like breaks into the records room. He's like, "Well, you can't be here," and he just walks past. So he like, ching! He's like a data spy, like this giant like
R2-D2.
Did R2-D2 have that?
Yeah, you don't know Star Wars.
I don't know anything about Star Wars. Keep that in mind.
Well, just think of R2-D2 for the folks at home.
Yeah, I know. But I'm like, how could R2-D2? Anyways, he has like a thing in like his in between his middle and ring fingers, which is like a which I guess like a data spike, like a USB thing or something. It's stupid. He puts it in and cranks it, and then he's like searching through the records, racking his memory and uploading it or whatever. And then he's like, oh, who's associated with Clarence? And he remembers Clarence. He's like, wanted for what? Murphy, like wanted for and a bunch of crimes. This guy's a bad rap sheet. And then murder Alex Murphy. And he pulls up Alex Murphy and the music swells up. It's like Alex Murphy deceased. And he's like, oh my goodness. So now he's like on a roll, right? And we'll continue now, all right? So in the back, here's what happens, right? And this is my favorite scene in the movie. And I can't say the line. I really, really wish I could, but I can't. But I'll approximate it. All right. Here's what happens. So while it's happening, I remember the guy's full name, Bob Morton, the guy who's the head of the RoboCop program, right? Mm-hmm. Bob basically gets under, like, sort of pushes his way in front of Richard Jones. Yeah, he gets in front of Dick Jones, and he's like, oh, I can do this program. And then he's like, yeah, Dick is stupid. He's old. He's useless. Whatever. A bunch of other words. It's an R-rated movie. They curse like sailors in this film. Don't let your kids watch RoboCop. Or let your kids watch RoboCop. I don't know. Kids watch so much fun stuff nowadays. I don't even know. I was playing Mortal Kombat by this time, but when I was 7, so who knows, right? But he and like an associate is in the bathroom, right? And he's in the urinal, and Dick's in the stall. Dick Jones is in the stall. Okay. Richard's in the stall, right? So, you know, he heard it. So then his associate just leaves, and you know, Richard's like, listen, I'm going to be number 2 of OCP. You better be nice to me. You crossed the line. So he's basically saying like he's going to be gone, like he's gonna do something to him. So then we cut to a scene of Bob with a couple of ladies and some substances. You know, they're doing this stuff and they're like on, you know, they're like, you know. And he's like, I guess the pizza's here or whatever. I don't know what's here. He goes to the door. It's Clarence. He grabs him. He's like, ugh! And then Clarence walks and it pans to the ladies. And he's like, ladies leave. But he doesn't say ladies. He says another word, which is not very nice about ladies. Funny story about that, by the way. Paul Verhoeven, he's like Dutch or something like that. He doesn't understand customs. He doesn't understand that specific word is bad, is a derogatory term. So he's like, oh yeah, and then the ladies come and the ladies leave, and then good job, ladies. But you know the word. Like, it's so funny. There's like a good interview about this. And they're all cracking up because they know that he doesn't know what it means. So someone tells him, he's like, oh, okay. Anyways, that's the funniest line in the movie to me because of the way he says it. And keep in mind, Clarence Bonninger is the same guy as Red Foreman from That 70s Show. So when I watched it with, my girlfriend, Ellie, she said, oh, I know him from that. I didn't know him from that. So, like, she can only imagine, like, Red Foreman, the dad from That 70s Show, being, like, this villain. And it's funny because he looks so, like, innocent. He looks like an accountant. And that was intentional. They wanted him to look like Heinrich Himmler from the Nazis.
From that movie. That was a great movie.
What movie?
You introduced it like it was a movie. Like Heinrich Himmler from the Nazis.
One of the greatest historical pieces of all time. But yeah, he meant to look like that, but he didn't know that, so he thought he was supposed to just look like, just a regular accountant who's like really just like a sniveling, like, pathetic guy. Anyways. So then he basically puts a CD in, a video CD, so it kind of invented DVD. The one thing the future predicted in this was DVDs, I think. Aside from Detroit, going bankrupt, which I think it almost went bankrupt recently, like at some time.
I think it did, yeah.
Tons of 20 times. Anyways, so it's Richard, and Richard's like, you crossed the line. So he's working with Joan. He's working with Clarence. So he throws, his entire house, Bob Moran's house, was bow, and he's gone because he throws a grenade, and he's like already like I think he got like shot in the knee or something like that, something crazy. Anyways, so RoboCop finds out where Clarence is and goes in there and storms this place because Clarence and like another person manufacturing some bad stuff are trying to work together, and they're like pressuring each other. He's like, I'm the king of this city. Clarence is like, anyways, RoboCop goes in, blasts a bunch of people. He grabs Clarence. He's like talking to him. He's like, "Who do you work for?" Throws him through a glass window. And he's like, "Oh, I don't know. Who do you work for?" Throws him through another glass window. Do you remember that? RoboCop throws Clarence through 3 glass windows in one scene, and it got funnier every time.
So wait, but again, this is also showing RoboCop is getting away from his programming again, because he's not being a really by the book guy anymore. He's showing his anger towards the people that like brutalized him and killed him. Yeah,
he was actually going to kill the guy. He was going to kill Clarence at that point. But he's like, I work for Jones. I work for him. He runs OCP. He confesses. He's like, you're a cop. You shouldn't be. He's like, are you gonna arrest me? You're a cop. And then when he says you're a cop, his directive pops up, Directive 3, uphold the law, and he drops him. So he takes him in, and I remember what happens. Clarence spits blood in his face, and then RoboCop's like, ah! He was about to strangle him. Anyways, the spitting thing is important because when they take him into the another funny scene with Clarence is like when they book him, right? So RoboCop just pushes him, like, book him, and then Clarence is like held up in cuffs, and it's like the papers he has signed, just spits on it with just give me my phone call, and it's so funny. It's such a funny movie. That Clarence guy, he was such a funny character. Anyways, so
then he goes after Dick Jones.
Yes, thank you. He goes after Dick Jones. So here's what happens. He's like, you're under arrest for aiding and abetting a felon. He's like, oh, okay, arrest me. So keep in mind, when RoboCop first comes online, his three directives are shown, but there's a 4th one that appears after that's classified. He tries to arrest him, and he goes, he can't. His system's messed up. Turns out Dick Jones put in a 4th directive. Any arrest of a senior executive of OCP will result in system shutdown. So he can't do it because he's like, you're our product. Because he's trying to break his protocols and be like a human, but he's still a product. It's scary. So, he's like lying on the ground convulsing. He gets up. So he sends out Ed 209. He's like, I killed Bob Morton. Now I have to kill. He made a mess. Now I have to kill that mess. And he recorded that, mind you. But what happens? So yeah, basically, he has to flee from Ed 209. He's getting blasted. He goes down the stairs. Ed 209 can't go down the stairs, so Ed 209's fine. He falls down, and then Ed 209 starts screeching like a dying animal, like a whining dog or a baby. It was that sound that Ed 209 made when it was like screeching on the stairs, like fall on his back, like my dog is when if I'm like petting my dog and like she like goes on her back, she'll like freak out. like freak out, but she'll be like, she doesn't like. I guess she's like, I don't know. She doesn't like. She'll sleep on her back sometimes. But other than that, she doesn't like lying. She doesn't like lie on her back for me to like rub her tummy or something. She doesn't do that. Anyways, shout out to Janie. I love you. Anyways, basically like all the police force are blasting RoboCop, but they don't want to. But then other people are blasting RoboCop, so he's running. Lewis finds him. Lewis takes him away. Lewis rescues him and takes him away, and they go to the. Was it the place where Murphy was killed? The steel mill? Was it the same place? I think it was.
Yeah, they take him to the steel mill. Is that where the movie started? I can't remember. Let
me make sure. I feel like abandoned steel mill. Let's see. Pursues programmed. Whatever. Anyways, he goes to repair himself, and this is actually my other favorite scene in the movie, where Murphy, RoboCop, whatever, same thing. He drills his like faceplate. Like, you might not like what you're going to see, and he's not talking as much like a robot anymore, and it's his face. This dude is mewing like crazy. He's mogging so hard. He's got the cheekbones to end all cheekbones, but he's bald. Anyways, the makeup on that was really good, on Peter Weller.
Again, a little disturbing though.
Yeah,
because his face is like stretched over like his iron skull.
Yeah, the good makeup just make his face like kind of feel like it folds over the skin. It's kind of gross, but it's not that bad. But he's like, he's like, Murphy had a wife and son, and he's like, yeah, and Murphy was like, yeah, something. And she's like, I can remember.
Oh, I wrote this down. I love this line.
I can't remember it for some reason. Pull it up.
He says, I can feel them, but I can't remember them.
I can feel them, but I can't remember them. He looks down. He's all sad and emo. And then Lewis walks in. She's like, I need to be alone. She walks away. So it cuts to Lewis sleeping, and then RoboCop gets up, sees her sleeping, and says like, I'm just gonna shoot my gun, because he's trying to get his targeting systems worked up. So he goes, bow, and then Lewis wakes up and is like, she's like, Murphy, okay. So she helps him like retarget his systems. Anyways, while this is going on, right, Clarence meets Jones, and Jones is like, you have to kill RoboCop. You have to destroy him. And he's like, well, what are you doing? You're the one who made this thing. You're OCP. I got too much more bargain for. I'm out. He's like, well, Delta City is going to be built, and we need kingpins. A lot of crime, a lot of drugs. So he's basically making him a deal saying, while Delta City is being built, you can run your empire there, and nothing will happen. We'll keep you safe. He's like, I guess we have to be friends. So he's like, this is another favorite line of mine. He's like, what, you got military-grade weaponry? He's like, we practically are the military.
Well, no, I like the part where he calls him Richard for the first time in the movie.
Oh yeah, he calls him Richard. Like, yeah, Clarence. Like, yeah, Richard.
Yeah,
that was funny too.
It was clever.
Yeah, but yeah, basically there's a scene where they're like, where him and the gang get these like new weapons, these Cobra assault cannons, which look like sniper rifles, but they like explode when you shoot them. It's crazy. And there's like the police go on strike at this point, so the people are rioting and stuff, and Emil actually, he's like drinking something, and he like just breaks the TV just so we can turn the TV up so we can watch the I'll buy that for $1 guy. That's literally the only reason. He won't steal anything else. But the guy with the funny laugh in the gang, he stole the SUX 6000 or whatever, or 6000 SUX. That what happened? Because he got arrested or something. He stole it, the one that they like made and were going to give to the mayor who was taking them hostage. So then Clarence just blows it up. He's like, "What? Come on, that's my car!" And he's like, shut up. And then they go and blow some stuff up, and they blow one that's like a really big explosion. It turns out they didn't think the explosion was going to be as big as it actually turned out to be. So they all got paid a stunt pay, an extra $400, because they almost got they could have been killed there. So funny story. But yeah, RoboCop's in the steel mill. It's like the final showdown, basically. The gang shows up, and they have to get RoboCop. So, you know, he's like blasting some people and all that. Lewis is driving, and RoboCop's like trying to hunt them and whatever. RoboCop moves past Emil or whatever, and Emil drives into like a toxic waste, so he like starts melting.
Oh yeah,
that was gross, but it was really good makeup. He's like, oh, he's like melting. It looks really good. He's just walking, his mouth's hung open. He walks up to the I think the Italian is like, help me, and he's like, get away from me. So, you know, all this stuff. That scene's pretty funny because Clarence. What?
We got 10 minutes, so
we'll wrap it up in a second. I'm almost done. I'll keep it brief. Okay, sorry. Basically, the funny part about that scene is Emil gets like killed, right? Because Clarence drives into him, but it's like not like a boom. It's like he just splats. He's like explodes immediately. It was gross. Anyways, basically what happens is this. Ending of the movie. Basically, Lewis gets injured or whatever. They go into like this like pond or whatever of still water, which couldn't have been safe. I think we talked about that in behind the scenes, anyways. So some of the bad guys are perched up top somewhere with this salt cannon. They're gonna go blast RoboCop, but instead of doing that, RoboCop, he's like, I'm not gonna kill you. I'm not arresting you. It's so funny the way RoboCop's like, I'm not arresting you this time, like kind of a childish, goofy way. But Clarence is like, I know. He's like, oh, it's fine, because he sees the guy up there. So instead of like just blasting him with the cannon, because I guess it would kill Clarence too, he instead has like there's like a crane that he's controlling, drops a ton of steel on it, like pow. It's like Lewis. So then,
she has her moment to shine, and she kills the sniper guy up with the gun.
With the assault cannon, it goes.
Yeah.
Wait, how does RoboCop? If RoboCop's trapped into the steel, how does Clarence?
He uses the data spike.
I know that, but how does Clarence run up to him? Do you remember?
Yeah, he does. He goes up to him to kill him.
Oh yeah, he's gonna stab him or something like that, or something.
Yeah.
No, he like blasts his like heart or whatever, like the side of his chest, like ah. And it's...
Yeah, he sticks like he grabs a piece of steel and
he stabs.
Okay,
him.
That happens in Terminator. I'm just gonna say that. That's the part that I feel like. I think it happens in Terminator 1 too, but it happens in 2.
It's just a cool thing for robots.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Murphy pulls his, like, stabs him, and it's like pretty quick, and he just bleeds out, and that's it. And then Lewis like, Murphy, I'm a mess. So like Lewis is injured, and Murphy's still beat up, and he somehow frees himself. We don't see Lewis for the rest of the movie. There's actually, there was a cut scene with after like the last part of the actual movie, where they show Lewis in the hospital in another media break report or something like that. They cut this out because it kind of ruins the emotional high of the ending, which I'll tell you. Spoiler alert. Okay, so here's what happens, right? There's a board meeting with OCP or whatever. He's like, oh, we got RoboCop. He's done. He's crazy. Bam! RoboCop breaks in. He's like, Dick Jones, you're under arrest for aiding and abetting or murder or something like that. I don't know. I don't remember. Something stupid like that. He's like, oh, you can't do it. Protocol 4. He's like, I don't care anymore. So he can't do it. He's stuck. So what he does is he grabs the head of OCP, the chairman, called the Old Man. They never give him a name in any of the movies. He's been here the entire time. He's kind of a nothing character in this one. He gets to be more of a crazy guy in the second movie, which second movie's all right, actually. It's nothing.
Well, RoboCop first uses the data spike to play the clip of Dick Jones admitting to the crime.
I remember that now. Yeah, where he's like, I had to kill Bob. And it's like, what? And he's like, I had to do it. And he plays over and he's like, oh. So as a last-ditch effort, he grabs the old man and holds him hostage with a knife. But then the old man knows that, you know, he can only kill OCP employees. So if the man up top tells him that he's fired, we can't arrest him or whatever. It's only for OCP. So he's like, Dick, you're fired! You're fired! Or whatever. And he's like, thank you. And he goes, bow! Bow! Blast him! Blast him! He falls through the window and falls, and he's done. And then the old man's like, nice shooting, son. What's your name? And he turns and he's like, Murphy. And he smiles and he walks away. Theme plays, da-da-da-da, credit over, movie over. If Lewis was the next thing, horrible. It would have been that was the high of the movie.
Yeah.
He now knows, and he has regained his humanity. He is Murphy. He sounds like a human too, and he acts like a human. But yeah. Also, the other scene I forgot, and then we can wrap it up. The other scene that I forgot about was when Murphy, when he sees his record that he's dead, he goes to the house that he was located at, and it's like totally, you know, it's all cleaned up / trash.
Right.
You know, it's at a realtor. It's like this weird automated realtor thing. So he's walking through it and seeing flashes of his children and all. Like, picks up a Polaroid of like him and Halloween and the memory flashes. And he walks into the room in the last one. He's like, and his wife's like, I really have to tell you something. And she looks at him and she's like, I love you. I'm like, aw. Because the I really have to tell you something scene, flashback, was played, but not the last, but it gets continued at the end, right? Because you're thinking, oh, is Murphy like, is he divorced or something like that? I don't know. Anyways, I like that because he just punches the TV in, the last like TV sales rep. But yeah, aside from the summary, sorry to take up all your time, Nima, but listen, it's RoboCop. I freaking love this movie. I wasn't going to say that. I love this movie. It is so good. Go watch it. I think it's on like Max now or something like that. I think it's the uncut version too, so there's all the grisly scenes, right? It used to be on YouTube for free, but it was like the R-rated original cut. There's 3 cuts of this movie. R-rated theatrical cut because they originally got rated X, which was the equivalent of NC-17 back in the day. So they had to shave down, like, I don't know, a lot of footage. Most of the footage was honestly just excessive violence. Like in like the Murphy/Ed 209 scenes where there's a lot of it. A lot of it. Where it's like the whole, and the thing is, the last thing I'll say, the thing that I like about the violence is this. It feels like it goes on for way too long. Every time. It goes on for just too long to be comfortable. Like, it's like, okay, this is enough. Especially the Ed 209 scene. It goes, and you're like, okay, that's enough. And it's like, if they cut it shorter, it would have worked. But the fact that they lingered on it kind of things it. And in summary, I like this because everything in this film is over the top. The satire, the world, the violence, everything is heightened past reality into something new. And there's this good drama humanity part of it. There's good action, good story, good acting from all the characters. It's just a perfect movie in my opinion. I rated it a 10. I honestly think it might be my new favorite movie. I thought immediately after watching it's my number 2 below The Truman Show, which is my number 1. But then on second watch, I need to watch Truman Show again to be sure. It's probably still Truman Show, but that's my favorite movie. But yeah, go see it. It's a good movie. The sequels, number 2 is okay, but it's like they're all made by totally different people. And like a 3 is PG-13, it's kind of poopy. The 2014 remake is okay, but it could have been a lot better, also PG-13. So, and the game is pretty good, the Rogue City. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you so much for listening.
All right, so yeah, just to summarize, RoboCop, I think it's a very good movie. It's a great action, comedy, and sci-fi film and horror film, in my opinion. It's quite a gritty and well-made action flick, and if you want more from the director, Paul Verhoeven, I recommend Total Recall, which is just as over-the-top and crazy.
Schwarzenegger's in that one. Yeah,
and Arnold Schwarzenegger's in it. I like that one a lot, too.
It also Starship Troopers and Showgirls.
Yeah, that one I haven't seen, but it's supposed to be pretty good.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to watch Total Recall next, actually, and then maybe the Terminators.
Do it. It's really nice. And yeah, it's been really good reviewing this film. I like it a lot. I've watched it twice, and
me too.
I thought actually higher of it this time I watched it. I thought I liked it the first time, but I liked it a lot more the second time. And yeah, so it's been nice talking to you here. Wish we could go for like 30 more minutes or something, but you know.
Talk too much. It's all good. I'll plug myself real quick and we can cut it out. Thank you for having me on, Nima. If you want to check out my content, I do bass tunes every Friday at 4 to 5 p.m., 88.9 FM, KUCI.org, this station. I also have an Instagram, BASEDTUNES KUCI. My next thing, I'm interviewing Michael Shea, the man who made Saint Anger good. He made the newest remake of Metallica Saint Anger, Saint Banger. So go and check that out. It'll be on air this Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you.
All right, so this has been Cinéshow on KUCI 88.9 Irvine. This is Nima Golbabai, and I'm with you to the end of the line.
Yeah.